the extra training with the e-collar is just making him more conscious of me, actually.
Yes, exactly, which is what you want. I was going to
Yeah.
say it has
Like
him
he's more focused on me.
yes.
So we're getting there.
Yes, Sparrow. Yes.
Yes. Give me a
Good
treat.
girl. Good girl. Glass of wine. Here's a glass of wine for you. Good girl.
Thanks, Ma. Doom, doo doom, doom, doom.
Doom, doom, boom. Let's snoots, boom. Let's snoots.
Welcome to Let's Boop Snoots.
That was a very prolonged. Welcome.
Woof.
Woof. I'm Heidi.
I'm Vero.
And today we're gonna boop Les Snoots like we always musical intro.
Yeah.
So we've had some like pretty exciting episodes like recently and some pretty exciting upcoming episodes.
Yes.
But today we're going to do a little update on Ralph Farino, right?
Yes.
And another experience you had with one of our local organizations.
Mm-hmm.
Walk
Walk with me.
Walk with me. Yeah. There's two in our region, and I always get them mixed up. There's Walk With Me and Sit With Me, and I believe that Sit With Me is the organization where it's like dogs with like very special needs and stuff that they're looking to like foster or adopt, and they have very radically honest like postings about them. And then Walk With Me is like an awesome organization that offers training and like dog walking, and they do fostering. Clearly they do fostering as well, right?
Well, I think they do like board and train.
Oh, yes.
But I don't think they do fostering. I'm not sure. Yeah. So I met a doggo this week for potential adoption through Walk With Me. He's very cute. He's very well trained, as we saw when we met him.
Mm-hmm.
And we will be, if we are the chosen adopters, we'll be doing a trial with, I'm going to call him Roger. With Roger. Yeah, so we were able to meet Roger with Ralph. Roger needs like a lot of structure and firm, like doggy parents, I believe.
Tell us about how you found him, and then what like attracted you to this Mr. Rogers.
So I found him on Mr. Rogers. So I found him on Instagram. I saw the posting on Instagram or maybe Facebook, one of these platforms. And, you know, I have a thing for chocolate labs and the description seemed great. And I saw that it was, you know, with Walk With Me, Ottawa. So I reached out to them. So I'm sure they've had many, many applications. We did include some Ralph pictures in our application. So I think that might have helped.
I was going to say.
Yes. So we'll know this week if we are going to get Mr. Rogers.
So did you have to fill out like an extensive like application? Was it like...
No.
Oh, okay.
No. So I sent an email saying that, you know, we were interested, that we had a like over 1-year-old golden retriever named Ralph. And that, you know, Ralph was crate trained, you know, Ecollar trained, and that's something that we're doing with Ralph. He's learned the basics with the Ecollar training, so now we're going above that. So he kind of knows what it is. So, and then they reached back to us with a couple of questions, like if we had a fenced-in yard, and we met up with them, with Ralph.
So tell me, I want to hear everything. Tell me everything. I want to know every detail about the meetup and how the meetup went, because that's what I'm super curious about.
The meetup went well. It was obvious that Mr. Rogers was better trained than Ralph.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
well,
okay.
Not obvious. Like he stayed close. He didn't wander far, and this was like a new environment for Ralph. So
yeah,
Ralph was just loving it.
So were you at like the foster person's like home, or did you guys meet in a park, or where did
It
you
was
go?
at the Walk With Me Ottawa trainers area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we met up with them there. And first we met up with them without Ralph. So Ralph stayed in the car. And we met Mr. Rogers, who is like
Hmm.
super cute and like loving the pets. And he loves to go between the legs, like from
Oh,
behind.
Gibbon does that.
Oh,
Yeah.
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 Ralph does not do that.
I've met several dogs that are big time about that. It's like when they feel like comfortable or whatever. Like one of them, it's just like a sign of comfort where they're like, "I love you," and they go between your legs.
Wee!
Oh yeah, it's like a pretty common, like, well, in my experience anyways, but
Yeah.
I don't know how many dogs I've met to date. I'm not keeping stats on it or anything, but I've seen that quite a few times. Dogs that just like push in between your legs, and Gibbon
Yeah.
is one of them. Yeah,
It's like a little surprise.
yeah, like, oh, hello.
What's going on? Um, yeah, very cute. So then we brought Ralph out and so Ralph was in a new environment. So he was smelling everywhere when he
Mhm.
first came out of the car off leash, which is how they should meet.
Mhm.
He went straight to like a gate, smelling the gate. So I kind of guided Ralph towards Mr. Rogers. And I felt like Mr. Rogers was more interested in meeting Ralph than Ralph was. Ralph was just like smelling everywhere. Um, so they kind of like had a small interaction and then went their separate ways, which is good.
Mhm.
And then we just kind of chatted about Mr. Rogers and asked some questions. They didn't really have many questions for us. And we were honest about like Ralph being in his crate 8 hours a day and if
Mhm.
that would be an issue. And they said that it wouldn't with Mr. Rogers.
Mhm.
And that he would need like a lot of structure because it sounds like they had to deal with some issues with him in the past and required some training with Walk With Me.
Mhm.
But he seems like,
So what were his issues? Just that he was high energy, or like like what kind of work did they do with him? Just the
I think
e-collar?
with the e-collar, yeah. So we had an
Yep.
e-collar on while we were there.
Mhm.
And I think he was just very high energy and they didn't know like how to channel that energy maybe
Mhm.
and reactive.
Mm.
So maybe like hard to control.
Yeah.
And I mean, that was pretty much it. Ralph had a blast like running through like it's like a swampy area. So he went in and was just like running like crazy. It's almost like he
Mhm.
had a big smile on his face.
Yeah.
Like we were all laughing at him. And then he
Yeah.
came out and had a bunch of burrs
Mm.
in his fur, which we had to brush out when we got home.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always feel so with Ralph, as you all know, there's been like some not training issues, but he's entered like the teenager phase where previously to that, he was very responsive to our commands. His recall was like pretty much 100%,
Mhm.
even with Mochi there. And then all of a sudden, like he forgot everything. So he's
Mhm.
entered the teenager phase. He's still in it. And now we're kind of like learning we need to be a little bit more rigid with him, a little bit more stern. We did some training with the e-collar previously, so we're utilizing that again with his leash walking, which was like fabulous the last few walks with him,
Mhm.
like right by my side. The leash was loose, just amazing. I was like night and day walking Ralph. So we had
Mhm.
the e-collar on and the prong collar.
I was gonna ask if you're still using the prong. Yeah.
Yeah, so both of them on. And what I did at the beginning of the walk was I had it up to 14. So
Mhm.
in the house, he's about like 11. And outside, he's about 14 with like minor distractions. So I added up to 14. And what I would do at the beginning of the walk is I would walk and then change directions. And then I would do like a pulse, like, I don't know what you want to call it, tickle, zap,
Mhm. Yep.
until he was right by my side. And then I would say yes and then give him a treat.
Yeah.
And then I would do that. I did that about like 10 times. And then after that, he just stayed right by my side.
Yeah.
Like I would completely turn around and he was right there.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really good. And we've been doing place with him too. And he's been so good with place too. So I think he's like
Good.
calming down. And I think the extra training with the e-collar is just making him more conscious of me, actually.
Yes, exactly, which is what you want. I was going to
Yeah.
say it has
Like
him
he's more
like,
focused on me.
yes.
So we're getting there.
Yes, Sparrow. Yes.
Yes, yes, give me a
Good
treat.
girl. Good girl. Glass of wine. Here's a glass of wine for you. Good
Okay.
girl.
Thanks, Ma.
Yeah.
So yeah,
No.
so we'll see. I think they're meeting with another potential adopter, which is good because I want them to make this decision without any doubts. I know they care very much for Mr. Rogers,
Mhm.
and I want Mr. Rogers to get the perfect home.
And they gave you guys a bit of feedback too, though, eh?
Yeah, so they felt like maybe my style with Ralph was maybe not as firm as it needs to be with Mr. Rogers. So I kind of replied to that saying like the work that we're doing with Ralph, and we're discovering that he needs maybe a different communication tool, such as the e-collar, which he knew the basics with.
Hmm.
And that's kind of been going very well with him. And that,
Yeah.
I really don't see myself slip with Mr. Rogers and his training because I know it's so rewarding when your dog is well trained,
Yes.
and it would be really unfortunate to go backwards.
So Vero and I had a quick discussion about this, and it's sort of tough. Like these visits are important, and for that reason, they get a quick little snapshot. How long were you there for your visit?
15 minutes, maybe
I was going to
20
say
minutes.
around,
Yeah.
so you have these visits where it's like 15, 20 minutes and somebody's just getting a quick snapshot of like what your training style is, what your lifestyle is sort of like with your dog and that sort of thing. And it's hard because like you said, it's in this like new environment and you're meeting other people and you don't necessarily know what their approach is to like dog training and stuff. So you knew like a little bit about it based on his profile and stuff, but it's very different when you see people working with their dogs. And like an example of this was Vero and her boyfriend and I were having a discussion about solid canine training, and he gets like a lot of really strong comments, like almost like online like sort of fights about his like approach to dog training. And there's a couple of videos where he's bonking and it looks like a pretty aggressive like bonk to some people, and everybody has a different threshold, right? So even for any of you that tuned in on last week's episode, where we had my neighbor who has a seeing eye dog, when she was talking about doing her research on what institution she wanted to get her seeing eye dog from, the reason why she chose the one that she did is because they had a purely positive approach.
Mm-hmm.
And so you never know what somebody's approach is and stuff like that. So again, when you go for these meetings, sometimes you have a bit of an idea, but if you were like bonking like Ralph for taking off and not listening, what like not like because it was a new environment, and maybe like you have no idea what other people's knowledge is or like how understanding they're going to be of the situation. And some people are, super embarrassed of their dogs, like they take them to a dog park and their dog's like humping another dog and they're just like mortified, and it's like, this is what dogs do. Like
Yeah.
it's like, yeah, you have embarrassing moments sometimes if your dog's does like is not listening to you and you don't have control of them and like these types of things. But again, like the way you decide to manage or deal with that behavior or even react to that behavior varies between different people. So like, Veronique, I think I'm hopeful that she's shown this organization that she's knowledgeable about the different training tools that are out there. She's using them like presently,
Mm-hmm.
and at least just made up a word, and at least has like a plan of where she's going with it. And like we were sort of chatting like, Veronique's boyfriend was saying like, you guys are always talking about what horrible dog owners you guys are. And like we definitely had a few episodes like that where like I can remember the one where the weekend where Lou, my new Weimaraner, had nipped at one of my kids and stuff. But
Mm-hmm.
again, when you look at like when you take the whole context like into consideration, you're like, yeah, I can see why that happened, and I have to be more knowledgeable. And I think that, it is tough with people's dogs, and it's tough with like the lifestyles that we lead sometimes. And sometimes you have like a really rough day at work, and all you want to do is go home and sit on the couch, drink a glass of wine or whatever, and the dog jumps up on the couch, and maybe if that's something you're working on, you're just like, ugh, because you just don't have the energy, and things start to slip a little bit, and then you start seeing these behaviors sort of like resurface in your dog. And to be reflective and say like, like that one episode where I said I was a horrible dog owner this weekend. At least I can like, I'm
At least
reflective enough to be like,
yeah.
exactly. It's just like, okay, she's doing this. Okay, let's go back and look at let's debrief. Let's debrief the situation here. Okay, so it was like this and that. Like, yeah, you can understand where it's coming from. Okay, so what are we going to do moving forward? And you're going to start reinforcing those rules and stuff like that. But there are very and this is just a guess, I shouldn't say this, but like in my experience, there's very few people that have a perfectly trained dog, right? Like
Hmm.
unless it's has an official job like security or working for the police. Like, yes, they have to be impeccable there, and that is a whole side job in itself if you're like a canine handler for one of these organizations or whatever. But even them, it's like there's on duty and off duty, and there's things that you have to work on. But as like the average dog owner, like when I'm going out to the parks every day, and when I'm like walking my dog down the street and stuff like that, you see people out with their dogs, and you see the people that are getting pulled by their dog down the street. You see the
Hmm.
people that are like following their dog for kilometers, being like, Fluffy, 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 come back, Fluffy, come back,
Yeah.
Fluffy, you know what I mean? And then you see the people who have like good recall and like stuff like that, but their dog is like a little bit aggressive, and maybe they shouldn't be there, you know what I mean? But like, you have to be responsible for you and your dog and the relationship that you have with your dog and your own dog's behavior and like all of these situations.
Hmm.
So I hope it goes well with Mr. Rogers. And I think that, regardless of whether it's you or the next person, like it sounds like he's got some like good people on the docket to pick
Yeah,
him up and give him a nice home. And
definitely.
I think that you're very much aware of what to do and how to handle it, and that you're working with an organization that also knows what they're doing and are super supportive of
Hmm.
placing their dogs in the right place. So,
Yeah, which is
yes,
good. So we'll see.
yes, we
Whatever
shall
they
see.
decide is for the best.
Yes, yes, to Mr. Rogers.
Yes.
It's a beautiful day in the
It
neighborhood.
actually is.
A beautiful day for a neighbor. Won't you be mine? That's what Hazel can sing to him. Won't you be
Oh,
my
little Miss
neighbor?
Hazel.
Yes. Hazel is Vero's Goldie Goldie neighbor, golden
Yeah.
retriever neighbor,
Oh my God, she is
backyard neighbor.
adorable. We went to the park this morning, and Ralph, that's the other thing, is Ralph is not in is still intact, sorry. And he's got like one thing on the brain. And if it wasn't for that, like I think everything would be much easier at the dog park.
Oh my goodness. I have a story for you very similar.
Ooh.
So a friend came over on a Friday after work with a dog that she has who is intact, and it was a she. And our dogs met in my backyard, and Gibbon was out playing with her. Lou was kind of, you could tell, overwhelmed by it, so I put Lou back inside, giving her
Mm-hmm.
space. But Gibbon was running around with this dog and watching her flirt with him, like she was just like, hey, 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 like putting her bum in his face. And then she
You
started like,
cute.
she's like, you're cute. And she was like licking him and jumping on him and jumping over him and like wanting to play and like flirt and like bouncing this way and like, hey, like it was hilarious. And we
Ooh.
started like making voices for them, and like we were just like laughing like so hard. But at one point she started to like literally like hump his face. Like she was like, see, this is how you do it. This is what I'd like to do. All you have to do is just like jump up on your hind legs just like this. See? Like in front row seats.
Oh, that's too funny.
We're just like dying laughing. But yes, the dogs that are intact are definitely they have their moods.
Well, I have two intact dogs right now in my household. So
Oh my
Ralph and
goodness.
Mochi.
Mm-hmm.
And Ralph is actually better with Mochi now. But Mochi sometimes does it to Ralph. And
Mm-hmm.
in my head, I feel like she's thinking, like, is this what you do to me? Like, what is this? Like, why is this fun? What are you trying to do?
What are you trying to do?
I don't get it.
Oh
Ralph,
my
is this
God.
it? Is that how it is? Am I doing it okay?
It's so funny. Oh God, I love dogs. They're so
Yeah.
funny. They're so funny.
Ah, but Miss Mochi needs an e-collar.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Do
especially
you
on
ever try
walks.
doing Do you ever try doing any work with her when she comes over?
A little bit. I went for a couple of walks with her and it's just awful. But they run her. They have like these little segways
Mm-hmm.
and they run her. And then they also bring her to Bruce Pit, so she never really has a structured walk. So maybe
Um,
that's okay for them.
yeah,
But yeah,
but
when I walk her,
it's
I'm just
hard
like,
when
oh my god,
do you walk her separate or at the same time as
separate.
Ralph? Yeah,
Yeah,
I
because
was gonna
she's
say because
just
you can't
like,
really.
no, like Ralph
Mm-hmm.
would be okay maybe. Um,
But it's just like setting them up for like disaster because it's like an extra distraction, especially if
yeah,
she's like all over the place and not used to the structure, the vac.
yeah.
Yeah,
She is like constantly looking everywhere. She's whining. She's jumping. It's like birds, squirrels, and
yeah.
I'm like Mochi, and she just doesn't look at me.
So, do you want to know what's funny? Is that like, yeah, and there's no point in that sense either because like I can tell you like so like I'm in the habit now of like walking my dogs like just about every day that I can if I'm not like super overwhelmed with like stuff that I have to do and blah blah blah. But anyways, and the odd time my husband will try to come out with me. So we usually go after dinner now that the weather's nicer. We take the dogs out and he'll usually take a dog and I'll take the other. And we go on a structured walk and then to this area where there's a big open field and at the end we let them off leash and go for their run, leash them back up, come back home. So anyway, so there was we started doing this like as soon as the weather just started turning nicer in our city recently. So we were out for this walk this one day. And like my husband knows, he hears me talk about this stuff all the time. I've tried to teach him this is structured walk, blah, 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 gone
Mm-hmm.
on and on and on about it. So he's walking on front of me with Gibbon and I have Lou and we're walking down and there's this like big fat bunny on like somebody's property. He's like, "Ooh, Gibbs, look at the bunny. Look at the bunny." And I'm like, "What are you doing?" It's just like, no.
No.
He's like, "What?" And I'm like, "No, a structured walk is no, we don't look at the bunny. And if you look at the bunny, you get a little pop of the leash. Like you
Yeah.
gotta stay focused." He's like, "Oh my God, it's so hard." I'm like, "Do I need to get you a prong collar too?" Like, no, boo. Give him a little
No.
pop. Uh-uh. My poor little ADHD husband. Oh my God, it's there's like a distraction on both ends of the leash there. But anyway, so yeah, it's difficult even with the people that should know
Mm.
better to stay on task and keep the structured walk going. So yeah, it's tough. At least she's little though, and isn't does she have an like ridiculous strength?
No, she's not too bad,
Oh,
but it's
okay.
still like
Mm-hmm.
hard on the shoulder and the arm.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Yeah,
And there's really no point because she'll go back home and she's going to be back on her Segway runs. And
exactly.
so it's okay. It works for them. So
That's amazing that they have a Segway.
yeah, I've tried the Segway and almost killed myself.
I feel like I would fall off one of those pretty
Yeah.
bad. But I got
Yeah.
the e-scooters that we had last summer. I heard that
Ooh.
they were questioning whether they were going to continue that program in the city, but the e-scooters were pretty fun. I tried those.
I feel like that would be better because you have like one foot behind the other.
Yeah,
You're like ready to catch yourself. Whereas
but they go pretty fast though, so that if you hit like a bump or there's something like you really have to watch the road on front of you because it's tiny little tires, so you can't go into
e
a pothole or you're going
e.
you're going to take flight. But again, depending on how fast you're comfortable going, but no, they're pretty fun. I could
Might have
take my
to try
dogs
that.
for a run on one of those guys.
Ooh. Might have to try one because the Segway, you're
S-
just like both feet are in the same spot, like shoulder width.
And is it like about leaning in that one
Yeah,
too?
it's about
Yeah.
leaning. And you don't have anything to hold on. So there's like this thing that's between your legs up to your knees, and that's it. Where you
Oh
kind of like
man.
squeeze and you
Oh.
go like left and right. But
Oh
yeah.
my God. Yeah, I would die on that.
Yeah. And then imagine like going off to one side and hitting the curb.
Oh. Oh, yeah, I would die.
No merci.
That's crazy that they can run their dog on it though. Like even that, like I can remember I forget who it was. It was I think people that I was working for with huskies when they were trying to train them how to run like on bike and stuff like that. That in itself requires training from your dog. Like you need them to listen to you. You need commands in place because even I think my dad tried to do it with his husky, his wife's husky, because my dad got an e-bike and he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna take her for a run or whatever." Yeah, well, one squirrel and off the bike my dad went.
Yeah.
So um, people always forget about that. This skateboarding, the biking.
I'm surprised that they can segue her. I think they bike her too because she's
Okay,
so like her prey drive. I don't know if she would actually run until she like run and run and run and run off.
yeah,
But when she sees like a squirrel or a bird, like she's like jumps and wants to go and whining and like, oh
yeah,
my God, Mochi. How do you run
mochi
beside a bike without like,
without pulling them off.
yeah.
I guess the one thing is like her sheer size might be the thing because like a husky's definitely going to pull you off a bike, whereas a little
Mm-hmm.
mochi moch may not.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think people forget about the training that's involved, even with taking your dogs like running on the various like modes of transportation that we have these days. Like even on an e-scooter, that would be enough to like kill you.
Yeah. I would fall.
Squirrel.
I would
Ah!
fall without a dog.
Me too. If we're being honest, me too.
Mm.
Yes. Yes. So you're still working on some e-collar training with Ralph?
Yes. So the next thing will be his recall.
Mm,
Yes. And that I can't wait. I cannot
yeah.
wait.
See, even like with the training and stuff, I realize now, I was telling several people this that whenever you have two dogs and one's like older than the other and then the older one passes away, it's like the dog who takes over in its succession is like, I get to do all the things that dog did before. Because it happened sort of with like Becky and Scraps. So like Scraps was our first dog. He was a Beagle Border Collie mix, and he, when we would go up to the cottage, would take off out into the bush for like hours at a time. There was jokes on the lake that like he was like the littlest hobo and saving people from like houses on fire and winning medals of honor, and we just didn't know. But anyways, he would come back when he felt like it. And Becky always stayed super close and her recall was really great. And then like after Scrappy passed away, then Becky started doing all of those bad Scrappy behaviors. And now that Becky has passed away, now Gibbon has taken to all those bad behaviors and he's taking off and his recall is less good. So I kind of want to nip this in the bud before he's just like, well, no, like that's what Becky did, so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna be like, no,
Yeah.
no, 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 no,
Mm.
because Lou is pretty good and her recall's pretty good. But I keep saying that I want to e-collar train Gibbon, and you know, if only there were more hours in a day. So
I know.
I'm doing like, I work full time. I've got to. There's always like a million excuses, but I am schooling like part time as well. So I got a little taste of what it was like to like in between semesters to have 2 weeks off with like no assignments,
Mm-hmm.
no schoolwork to do, which was like nice. I did a lot of training with Lou in those 2 weeks as well. Got her a little bit back on track, so things have been better there. But like I can't wait till I'm done because I need to e-collar train him, especially going up to the cottage this summer
Yeah.
and with the porcupine
And you
lingering
have an
in the.
e-collar, right?
Yes, I
Yeah.
do
You have
because we had
Becky's.
because Becky's was good. So we will see how he does with that, but I really do need to do that. I'm probably going to end up doing that in August because it does take quite a bit of time, and I know realistically, I just can't do it at the moment.
Yeah.
I just can't. But he's like a little bit of a jerk, and is starting to take off more and more. Even when we
Gibbon.
let him, I know. Even when we off leash him, he went into somebody's backyard like the other day. Like we go in this field, he never leaves the field, and he went around the corner and behind the fence and was like in people's backyards, and I was like, come on.
Oh no.
Yeah. So we really, really need to get on top of that,
Yeah.
especially before Lou starts like taking a look at that and being like, oh,
I'll do
well, if
that
that's,
too.
I'm, I'm going to do what he does
Mm-hmm.
when, all of that comes around my way. Anyways, yeah. Um, if I have time for something really quick here, I wanted
Yes.
to share these funny things that I've seen them like the odd time, like on Instagram and stuff like that. So people will write down like what they named their dog, but then like all the different like nicknames that come and what they actually end up calling their dog on a day-to-day basis. I found this quick little article here, and it's called People Are Sharing the Names They Now Call Their Pets instead of the original name that they've given them. And it's hilarious. So, like, number one, their dog's name was Archibald Archer. And then they started calling him Archie. And then they started calling him Archie Boo Boo. Then they just started calling him Boo Boo. Then they started calling him Boobs. And then they call him Lord Boobington. It's like
It's
nothing.
not even close.
I know, but it's sort of like us, and like Lou has just started, and I find it takes like time over the years. So for like when we got Becky, she was like just Becky for the longest time, and then we started calling her Beckers, then like Becky Boo Boos, like the same thing, Becky Boo. And then she was from Quebec, so one of my nephews started calling her Quebecers, and we called her all of those, like every single one of
Yeah.
them. And then with Gibbon, like we named him Gibbon, and then we call him Gibbs. And then we started calling him Giebjorns. And then we just started calling him Goo. So we literally will just be like,
Goo.
Goo, Goo,
And he
Goo.
responds to all of them.
Yep, pretty much. And then
With
sorry, go ahead.
with Wiggum,
Mm-hmm.
because so there was Wiggum, Wiggs, Wiggy, Wiggy Pop, Wiggamarole, Wiggum Ligum.
Yes. Remember Wiggum Ligum? I always called them Wiggy Pop or Wiggum Ligum.
And for Ralph, so far we have Ralph, Ralphie, Ralphagetti, Ralpharoni, Dum Dum.
With
That's
Lou,
it.
we started calling him Lulies. I call her Lulies for the most part now.
Aw.
Lulies. And but sometimes Lululemon. Lubu. Boo always finds its name in there,
Yeah.
doesn't it? So another person, this is sort of a little off topic or whatever, but wrote, so we had a cat called Carpet because her fur looked like an orange and brown bedside carpet. And then Carpet had kittens. So the two that they kept were called Matt and Rug.
Oh my God.
And another person wrote here, our dog is called Nutmeg, a lovely name for a dog. But the sad truth is most of the time we call her Nutface. Oh my God, that made me laugh. This is so funny. My dog's name is Poppy, also known as Pops, also known as Papa Chops, also Papa Lapa Chops, the Popster, and Lumpa Dump. They just like go like so far from the original. It's just so funny.
It's so good.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Okay, this one's like, it might be a little inappropriate. We can choose to cut this out afterwards or give it a little boop. But they said they had to call a dog named Dill after a children's TV character. And they couldn't understand, like the kid was young, I guess. And he would always call him when it was time for a walk or when they were outside.
Aw.
So then there's another one. They called their cat Megatron, and then Meg for short, and then Megface, Meggy Moo, Moo Face, Moogles. It's pretty good.
Moogles.
Oh my God, this is so funny. Then there's Poppy. This one like really, really goes for like a long like warp to the to the finish. So Poppy, aka Popsicle, Poppycat, the Popster, Pipsqueak, Purball, Poirot, Honey Badger, what the Badger, Bumfluff, the Fish Monster, Little Squeaky, Squeaky McSqueakerson, and Smelly Cat, Slaughterer of Mice, Tiny Lion, and then Tuxedo Tiger.
Oh my God.
That's a lot of names.
That is a lot of names.
They're just like so weird. It's like people morph like to the weirdest things. So this dog's name was Martha, then Martha Moomin Troll, then Martha Moomin Trolley, then Meekins, then Marmite, then Mook, then Moothy, then Twat Sticks.
Twat Sticks.
Oh my God.
So good.
Oh my God. Then these are just so funny. So they inherited a second, they said a second-hand idiot Labrador named Reuben. And they call him Rubau Boo, and then Boo Boo, then Rubik's Cube, then the cube, then Rapunzel. Let down your dog hair.
Oh,
Oh my God. They're just so good. So this person has two dogs. The first one's name is Steve, and they started calling him Teeve, and then Teevely, and then the Bean, and then Beansley, and then a little Ning, and then his Royal Bloody Highness. And then they had another dog named Bert, who was Bertsy, then Bum Bum, then Bertrand, then Bertie Bum Bum Boo, then Mr. B Brand.
oh, I love all those names.
Yeah.
So good.
Then they had a dog named Shep, and then they started calling him Sheep Shep, and then Sheep Stack Lightning. Okay. One person named their cat Hero, and then it got shortened to Ro, and then Roaster, and then Dr. Roasters, and then just Roast. Oh my goodness.
I wonder what other names are going to come up for Ralph.
I know. We should almost like, oh my God, this one's good. This one, he's like one of those like bearded like terriers of some kind. So his name was Alfie, and then they started calling him Alf, and then Alfredo, then Beardface, and then the Phantom Pants Stealer of Old London Town.
That's a long one.
Yeah. And then there's a dog named Susie, and she quickly became Schnooky, then Schnooky Schnoo, and then she was called LTJ Schnookums.
It's so funny, like the names that you come up with for your dog.
I know. Like, it's weird. This one's name was Wilson, then they moved to Pickle, and then they moved to Bumface.
Bumface.
There's a lot of people who call their dogs Bumface on here, or something
similar of
yeah.
that nature.
They got these people got a cat named Guts, and then they called her Greedy Guts, and then Gutsy Goo, and then Gutsy Goo Goo, and then just Google. Oh my God. That is just so funny. Some of them are so good. There's a lot of cats on here too. Sorry, it's cats and dogs. But anyways, my cat is called Moo, as they found him on a dairy farm.
Ooh.
But
A
he's
Lou
like
or Moo?
Moo, as
Okay.
in moo cow on a dairy farm. And he said he's really beefy, so they call him Dog Bear Cat. Also Boo, Moomin, or Little Man. That is so funny.
That is funny.
Oh my God. These are good.
Okay, one last one.
One last one. All right, the dog's name was Sylvie, and then they went Sylve, Sylvoid, Sylvain, Foxface Alpha, Foxtrot, Meatlog, to Logmeat, to Log Dog. Okay, that's it. That's all I got.
I wonder what all those animals look like.
Oh my God. Yeah, there's some photos on here, but oh man. I just thought those were funny. I would see them the odd time on Instagram, and I was like, it's so true. We never actually end up calling our dog by their full given name.
All right. So to end the podcast this week, Heidi and I decided to do an adoptable section. Mm-hmm. So what we do is that we go on to rescue organization websites, and we select a dog, and we'll read out the description. And if this dog seems like is a good fit for you, then you know who to reach. So for today, we chose a dog from Sit With Me Shelter Dog Rescue from Ottawa. His name is Bobby. He is a podcake breed, male, 1 years old and 3 months, and he's about 30 pounds. And he is brown and neutered. So here's a description. Sweet, sweet Bobby is now ready to find his perfect forever home. This boy is very timid, but in a quiet home, he will come out of his shell with time and start to show his silly personality. When Bobby is comfortable, he is such a funny character. He loves to run around with toys and sit on top of the cat tree to look out the window. He can be a little thief at times, and it's not uncommon to find the TV remote or socks in his crate, so he will need plenty of fun toys, including durable ones to chew on. When Bobby is in the yard, he loves to play chase with his canine friends, and this guy can run so fast. He enjoys going on walks through the woods, so he could be an excellent hiking partner. Bobby currently lives with 2 dogs and 3 cats and does well with all. When Bobby was first adjusting to his foster home, he didn't like the cats coming into his space. Now that he knows they mean no harm, he does well with them and sometimes even tries to play. He would need respectful, dog-savvy felines, though. He is crate trained and he can be left for a workday as long as he is provided with proper exercise and a fun stuffed Kong to keep him busy while his people are away. Due to his love of collecting his people's items, he should be crated when no one is home. Sneaky Bobby. Bobby is very fearful of new people and new sounds, so his person will need to help him build confidence. When people come to visit, a lot of treats are needed, and everyone must respect his space while he warms up. It could take several visits until Bobby is comfortable with someone, so please be patient because this guy is well worth it. Since Bobby is so nervous, he should not be off leash unless in a securely fenced area, as he is a flight risk when startled. Bobby is currently fostered in the country, but he can become overwhelmed when the odd car passes while on walks, so he would need a fenced yard if he were to live in the city so that his adopter could slowly work him up to more walks in higher traffic areas. And that's it.
Oh,
Yeah.
Good luck. Good luck, buddy.
Good luck, little Bobby. He sounds cute. Just a little
Bobby.
skittish and shy.
I can just imagine where that name's going to take them down the list of
Bobby
dog
Pin?
nicknames. Bobby Pin. Bobby Lobby.
Bobby Boo.
Boo Bum Bobby.
Bobby Bum.
We can go on forever. All right. Well, tune in next week on Let's Boop Snoots.
Boop.